You'd have to say, no disrespect meant to Keith, a tougher test here for Lakesh, but very much a match that Scott Gillespie will be a big favourite for all the same. I think obviously the format for the Masters has changed over the 3 years we have had it, but you have to say that I think it's a format that will really suit Scott Gillespie. I think he's very much a player that will enjoy the breathing room and the 2-session matches. A player that last time we were here made the final of the British Open, and I think a player that is starting to find and rediscover his best form. When he made that final, the level he played at was as good as we've seen from Altman Paul. I know ultimately he lost to Tom Cousins in that final, but I think as a fan of Scott, it was so nice to see him. Even though he won the Masters last year, he played better in the British Open that he lost in the final than he did in the Masters, and he's had a few injury issues, if you like. He's stopped him from being able to practice, an issue with his hand that really has stopped him from being able to kick on from the momentum he built with the British Open. I think the game is back and the belief is back. I expect Scott to play well here. But it is back to the 2-session matches, so this is very much 0-0. Race to 25, or best of 25, race to 13. 12 frames in the first session. If you are joining us for the first time today, then you'll realise that this first session is 12 frames at 30 seconds a shot. There is no reduction to 15 seconds or anything like that. Generous pocket with the red being there. Didn't use the red. It's one of those generous pockets that you almost either need to use the red or accept it's not there. Hit that near jaw, it's not going to go in off it. Rattles it in nicely. And it is a very, very nice first visit to table for Scott Gillespie. Tom Cousins has taken a 1-0 lead over Cole Bedford, a match we were talking about in the previous match. What would that one go like? I also said it was a reverse clearance, Scott Gillespie. Excuse me, it was a break clearance. Lakesh comes forward for his first shot, and it's a dry break, but a messy table. This one may take some working out. I'll just run through some of the matches that are going on while Scott works this out. Jake Dylan Newlove, he's taking on Jez Graham. Jake's won the opening frame. Josh Kane has won the opening frame against Connor Tracy. Two good friends. Tough lineup, well, tough matchup for them, but it is a former Masters, or WEPF World Masters champion that's ahead there. Chris Alexander, after a very good win in the first round against Ryan Fleming, is 1-0 up over Carl Sutton. Declan Brennan 1-0 up over Sean Sharkey. Arfan Dad 1-0 up over Matt Cook. Andy Millard and Shane Thompson have just got underway. They're playing the first frame. Cormac Kerr, who we've had on commentary today a couple of times, he's 1-0 up over Sean Chipperfield, who came from behind to win his opening match from 6-0 down. Carl Morris and Dylan Leary just getting underway. Dom Cooney 2-0 up over Oli Bale. Luke Sanji's 1-0 down to Christophe Lambert. Sean Story 0-0 with Ryan Bassani, who we saw win on here earlier on in 6-red shootout against Scott Pope. Liam White, one of the local favourites, 2-0 up over Andy Williams. And the former world champion Clayton Castaldi 1-0 up over Chris Day. That is the first half of the draw in the Masters, and that's the top half of the draw. These matches remain as split sessions. They'll play 12 frames and then they'll take a break for an hour and a quarter, come back and finish off. We'll see the second half of the draw following this one. We have Phil Harrison and John McAllister as our televised match. It's opened everything up, but no ball to pot. This is really brilliant stuff from Scott. Quite incredible what a finish this will be. There really was nothing on when he came to the table, and he has just developed this and picked away at it and moved a few around, and all of a sudden he's just in perfect position to start back to back. Today, but this will be right up there. One of the very best finishes I've seen all day. Haven't seen every frame, but from what I've seen, this will go down as the finish of the day. What a start. Brilliant from Scott Gillespie. It really is. Crunch. Crunch. Got to make a ball. Got to make a ball. He hasn't. Lakesh gets a chance. The way that Scott Gillespie started here, you feel for Lakesh he's going to have to go toe to toe, and when he gets chances like these, he needs to start taking them and just show that Scott Gillespie that he's there to play as well. These are very much all on. Probably wasn't ever planning to play the breakout when he came to the table, but the angle he left himself, he couldn't really play onto anything else, so just tried to screw it back out. Knew he was going to get that cannon, but also knew that good things could happen from where he landed, and they absolutely have. Very good this. Needed, I said at the beginning of the visit, needed to show Scott Gillespie he's here to play as well, and he's done just that. Very, very nice. Lakesh Badhan with the first chance, first finish, 2-1. And he's got an opportunity to go back to back himself. That was a fabulous break. chance goes. Ran into trouble early. Quite where Scott wanted to be. Going to have to find another route. Well, it's going to be a tricky 8-ball, but the way he started this match, you sort of expect him to make it. Very good. Scott Gillespie is here to play. Ryan Pisani 2-1 up over Sean Story. Liam White flying along 5-1 up over Andy Williams. Chris Day and Clayton Castaldi are 1-1. And it's another good break from Scott Gillespie. As Luke Terry rejoins me. Tell you what, Luke, Scott Gillespie is here to play. I don't know if you've seen those first 4 frames, but 3 visits to the table. Scott Gillespie has taken them all out in very emphatic style.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, the long frame format would definitely suit someone like Scott. And I think he would have relished the challenge when he came in this weekend. I think he would have seen that and gone, do you know what, this is a bit of me. He's an authoritative player. He's steady. He's never really seems fazed by anything. And I think the last tournament that we had, that last long-range format tournament, the British Open, when he made the final, lost to Tom, the moment he got past that hurdle of beating Kyle Morris, he just looked like a different player. He looked like someone that was ready to go the distance with anyone. That's a little bit loose. He catches the jaw. That's a nice shot. Just that little flick on the 2 yellows opened up the red. Just a little bit in between with this shot. If you can just navigate this, then it would be another run out. Oh, needs that to slow down. Oh.
Just about okay, I think. It's not what he wanted. He needed this red top of the table to be his last ball to connect to the 8 ball, but he's digging.
I think rather awkwardly, I don't know. Yeah, he's just picking a spot, because I don't think he can get right the way down for the red again. But he can leave himself high, which would mean he'd have to play the final shot to land on it, using 2 cushions, the bottom cushion and the left-hand side cushion, which is tricky in its own right, but...
Oh, complete miscue. Trying to dig that with so much side, he's completely miscued. First mistake in the match then for Scott Gillespie.
Yeah, I think he had to kind of manipulate the white to be able to pot the red as well, which obviously when you're trying to do too much in one shot, things like that happen. Oh, Lakesh.
You've got to punish. You have to punish.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, Scott playing as well as he has, if Lakesh gets that frame and goes 3-2, then it kind of nullifies what Scott's done. Once again, we obviously keep going back to that premise of just kind of hanging on. Like, if you end up doing it enough, you become a nuisance for opponents.
Lakesh may get back to the table.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Wasn't a natural angle, so I had to pump it. Because he's done that. He's caught the yellow full ball. This does clip, but the white ball's going to be flying. Can he control it in any way? Oh, he tried to go 2 cushions. Is he snookered? I think he's got a shot at it.
I'm not so sure. I think he might be able to see the finest of edges, but I don't think he can pot it from here. Not without bending it.
Clip the yellow. Frames like this will suit Lakesh, where Scott's not really able to have much of an effect from the position he was in there. Because what it does, it just ruins the Gillespie momentum a little bit. But it also gives Lakesh a bit of time to try and free his arm.
Leaving it late to get the cue ball cleaned. Remember, you get the cue ball cleaned on your own time. Luckily, he had an extension.
Yeah, we've seen Scott Pope against Ryan Pisani was constantly having the cue ball cleaned. I could probably count you 10, 15 times he had it done. And I think, in a way, it almost sways your momentum a little bit if you do it too often. So you just got to be a little bit careful of that. But you're absolutely spot on. It also is a factor when it comes to the clock as well.
But he waited 25 seconds to then decide to do it.
Yeah.
Which is, well, 27, 28 seconds when he decided to do it, which is, when you get 30 seconds, it's plenty. It's not going to affect him. He's in fine shape here to make it 3-2 and probably be the happier of the 2 players at 3-2. Don't think there'll be any concern from Scott Gillespie, though. He knows he's playing well. One's got away. Move on, next frame.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're in the last 64 of a big event. You haven't really got time to be thinking about what went wrong. You just got to be focusing on the now. For someone like Lakesh to be in the last 64 of the Masters, as good as Lakesh is, that's still a big achievement based on the field that you're dealing with. So for Lakesh, obviously, every step now is pressure because he wants to go that one step further, even though he's never been there. Whereas for Scott, he's got the experience, he's got the background, he's in good form. So you just kind of wait it out, weather the storm a little bit, and then attack when Lakesh eventually does go through a bit of a bad spell. he's in a position there where even if he just won one more frame, even if it went badly wrong and it ended up 8-4 as well as Scott's playing, you're still giving yourself that half a chance. But he needs to make a ball. That's pretty unlucky, I think. He hit that really clean. You see the connection there, ball's flying around everywhere, but that red didn't drop, and then nothing else really challenged the pocket. But can Scott pounce? That's the next question, because it's a bit of an awkward layout.
Combination first shot and make yellows.
I like it.
If he makes the shot, he makes the shot, he wins the frame off it. I'm almost certain of that. Okay, you're never certain, but it would be as good a layout as you can hope for.
Well, he's right behind it, so he should make it. There you go.
Yeah. So that awkward layout is not awkward now. I guess the only one that's slightly tricky is the 8 balls guarded.
Yeah, there's pockets that 8 ball goes to, though. It goes to the right middle. I think if you land right on it, you probably could pot it into the bottom right. It's just all about how you get there. You may even decide to cannon it using the one in the middle, because you've got the insurance of the one at the bottom of the table. Well, it just depends how he's feeling out there and what route he fancies. I think with the position that Scott's got the yellows in, I think I'd be very surprised if he tried to play any cannons here. I think he's going to want to play on to this 8. Already kind of had half an eye on it there, just landing nicely on this last ball at the bottom to come over to that left-hand side.
Easy to get this shot wrong. It's always, the minute he made the combination, it was always about this shot. He felt certain he was going to get here.
It's almost like with a bit of backspin and right-hand side, isn't it? You're almost aiming for the red on the right-hand side. That's not great. Didn't really get the backspin into the ball. Instead, he kind of more stunned it, which is why that white ball's come high.
Still has a shot. It's not exactly what he was looking for, but he has a shot.
Yeah, double off the red's an option. Exactly like that. Oh, I thought that was just going to flick it.
If it touches the red in any way, it's in.
Yeah,
And look where it's gone. Not much value in Lakesh putting anything here.
Well, he might just pot this one and leave it a bit closer towards the top end of the table. I don't mind that. You can just... Ideally, to be honest, you want to put it on the left-hand side cushion, even though that's where the black is.
He's going. He's going here, though.
Why would you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see the shot he's thinking about is not certain. It is so likely playing that shot to hit the jaw and stay out, and you're popping the 8-ball into play.
You know, we were talking about the Mike game against John, where obviously they all went really close. That's a good shot.
He's a little bit fortunate for that red to come back.
Yeah, where
block the one cushion. Because if Scott comes one cushion and rests on the 8-ball, so obviously hits the cushion, the 8-ball hits the cushion, he puts Lakesh under a little bit of pressure.
Yeah,
That wouldn't have been that tough a shot.
Yeah, is he going to use the jaws? He is. slide in on this table, don't they? So the jaws aren't really an option.
That was a
flush.
That was definitely a genuine effort to hit the 8 ball. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but you've got to be slightly careful in those situations. Don't give the referee an option. Got to make a genuine effort to hit the 8 ball. When you just get down and roll the cue ball into the pocket, it looks bad.
Yeah, no, that was a poor one from Lakesh.
That was never going to work.
You were never hitting it hard enough.
No, how are you expecting it to come out? That shot wasn't on. That's why I'm saying he has to play it firmer to get the ball out. To play it firmer, it's going to hit the jaw and not go in. You know,
I'm very surprised that he didn't just leave it where it was. He has complete play of the table, and very similar to the John Rowe Mike game earlier on that we were mentioning. At 4 apiece, that suited Mike, because you've really dragged the match out, you've ruined his momentum, and at that point, you know, your opponent's really digging to try and find something. If you're Lakesh in that situation, you know that Scott can't hit that 8 ball, or if he does, it's a miracle shot. So when you're in that position, why not just wait him out? Why not kill 15 minutes of the clock?
But he's got to try and win the frame, though. I know what you're saying, but he's still...
Oh, no, but I'm just saying at the same time, promote the balls that are around it. Make it almost virtually impossible to miss.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually does get close to that 8 ball, or misses it again, you can just play the cannon off from probably a much better angle than he had before.
He missed a trick once he went previously. He's got to get a cue. He's got to get a red to the bottom cushion.
He is attacking this now, but this could go badly wrong.
Why not use the other red?
To be honest with you, there's even half a chance here that if it hits it in the worst possible angle, he could pot the 8 ball.
Yeah.
But... Or get a bounce out.
Oh dear, that's harsh. That's tough to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, does Scott feel like he can pot this? He's having a bit of a look at it. Is it just too tight on the cushion?
I think it does cut.
Yeah, he's fine.
Big let off for Scott Gillespie. Tough one for Lakesh, but I do feel for him because let's take another look. Well, actually take it back. Take it back. Yeah. It was all off the jaw. It's just a poor shot.
Because not only has he lost that frame, but then he's got to deal with the Scott Gillespie break next, which
is huge.
Is huge. So you've not lost 1 frame in doing that, making that mistake. You've likely lost 2.
1 shot to play for Scott Gillespie. Long red to the corner. And that's pretty much the frame. I guess the 2 into the right centre, just need to make sure the top one goes, but... actually, in further review, the red to left centre is guarded as well. This is fiddlier than I first thought it was going to be. I still think it needs to be reds, and the red top right is your starter.
Yeah, you got to take the big shot early.
He's going yellows. I guess yellows, if he could clip this one past the red. Yeah, the argument for yellows is probably not... It's not too far away from the reds because you've got the 2 on the left-hand side, but the bottom 1 and the 2 does go. And once that's done, then yellows are easier. So,
yeah.
If he takes the red to top right corner and he's then on the red to right centre, but hard to get on the other red to right centre, he could almost knock it safe. And then he's got to hit a gap, and then he's got to track top of the table. So it was going to be 3 or 4 really good shots on the trot on reds, whereas yellows, it's about landing on 1 ball. And I think a really good choice on further review.
That happy with his angle. Don't know if he wanted to land a little bit higher and maybe go into them. I don't know if that was his intention, but
it was never good to leave the 2 on the left-hand side as your last 2 balls because they don't connect together.
Yeah, he's...
naturalised.
Tried to force it, yeah.
I'm not surprised to see that, because they were not good to. You could have played position on the bottom one, but then you moving a ball that you need to land on.
Yeah, to be honest with you though, Si, I didn't mind him leaving himself. If he landed fairly straight on the yellow to the bottom and could screw into it, then even if you don't quite land on it to the middle, you're going to have a shot on it to the corner. Whereas playing the way he has, he never even guaranteed the initial shot, which is exactly what happened. He's played a good snooker there. But, as I say, maybe it's just the way that Scott's seen it. But I just felt like he gave yourself a little bit more chance going the other way. But and Lakesh has just missed them all together. That's poor. Whatever you do, make contact. You've kind of just gifted the frame to Scott now, which is a shame. Because if you come off that bottom cushion, make contact with the reds and then hit the cushion, you don't give Scott a natural angle to land on the one on the cushion. But
it's another let off for Scott Gillespie. He started this match strongly, but just not quite taking the last couple out, and he's still going to win them.
It's just so easy just to fall into that, isn't it? That when you're playing really well, just to lose a bit of momentum and then have a couple of frames where you're in a bit of a lull. But he has still done the business, and he is going to open up a 3-frame lead. So in Scott's mind, he'll be more than happy.
His bad was still incredible.
But badly for the best player in the world.
Yes. Tom is currently 5-2 up over Cole Bedford, which is a match both of us thought was quite intriguing to see how that one would play out. Tom's had the best of the early part of the match.
I think it's similar to this game. I mean, 5-2 doesn't really mean a lot. If Lakesh goes back-to-back in the next two, then we're game on again. You know, it's only when you start, I think, especially at this level, it's only when you start seeing the kind of 7-2s, 8-2s that you start thinking that someone's really running clear.
That'll be in Scott's mind here. 17:44 left. 12 frames in the match, we're on frame 8, so not absolutely guaranteed to get them all in. We shouldn't be far away. He would love to stretch this to... What would he be happy with here? 8-4? No, probably wants... Well, he'd be very, very happy with 8-4, but he'd love to get to 9-3. That would break the back of the match.
Yeah, it depends if all the frames are played as well. Obviously, they've played 7 at the moment, 5 to go. They probably should get there. But, yeah, I think for Scott, I think minimum he'd be looking at 8. I think 8-3. I think he'd be pretty happy with 8-4. Okay, Lakesh is still in it. But
9-3 would be the one, though, wouldn't it?
9-3 breaks the back of the game. And it puts Scott in a position where he's not got to worry at all coming back, really, unless he has a complete nightmare.
And potentially gives him that nice early night as well. Job done. One of the first players through. You know, their second session starts at 9:30. If he won the first session 9-3, he could be back in his hotel by about 10 o'clock.
I was going to say, how many do we have to win for an early night? Like,
well, unfortunately, we don't have that luxury in the commentary box. We're probably here till midnight. We're here till the end.
Yeah, this has been good from Scott. Seemingly regained that momentum that he had at the start. Just love the way that Scott cues it with real authority. The waves kind of flow through in a natural pattern. And it's just on repeat. It's just that 1, 2, and through.
There's an authority to him when he's at his best, though, that wasn't there for certainly 2.5 years with Ultimate Pool. Stays back there again.
Does that mean that you think that we'll see those players, the players that were at the Worlds, potentially go deeper?
No, I think it's more, for me, it's Shane in particular. I think he's obviously now following the same suit as a few players are that are mixing the games, and he hasn't dealt with it as well as others. He's lost his he lost his form for a while, and the results haven't been there this year. He's barely won a match on Alton Pool this year, in honesty.
Yeah.
But I think the run at the Worlds has given him a time to really be bedded into this version of the game again, and this is coming off the back of that. I think he'll be in as good a form as we'll have seen him all year long.
It was really interesting at the last Pro Series, actually, and the game that sticks in my mind, actually, was him against Jake McCartney. And the reason for that was obviously because we hadn't seen Jake in so long, and also because of the lull in form that Shane had as well. It was one of those matches. That's a bad miss from Scott. But just going back to the point, it was a weird game, because it was probably a game that in the first 2 years of Ultimate you would have said would have been, you know, a top 10 player against a top 10 player. But because of their circumstances, I mean, over the last couple of years, Shane's rankings, maybe put him top 30.
Well, he's really fallen down, isn't he?
And, you know, for Jake, obviously, having not been here for a while, we didn't know what we were coming into.
Shane's down at 23.
See, that's...
rankings.
See, Shane on form is top 8 every day of the week. Where's Scott just sitting at the moment, out of curiosity?
13th. He's always been there or thereabouts. He's been around that sort of 16 to 20, which is too low for Scott Gillespie.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been anywhere near the player he was until, you know, fairly recent. Until he won, even when he won the Masters, rather, he still hadn't hit the heights of form that he showed for 4 or 5 years pre-COVID. But I believe that form is really starting to return. That belief is starting to return. And the big change for me was Scott Gillespie was so out of form and out of touch that his patterns disappeared. He was causing himself all sorts of issues, and now that you saw it at the British Open, his authority and his patterns returned, and he wasn't having. He's always been a big shot maker, but he wasn't having to make as many big shots.
So maybe looking at playing a skill shot here.
Does he need to? Does it not slide in? Might not. I don't think. I was working on the assumption that it did, but maybe it doesn't. Wow, that's a mile away.
I was going to say, I'm a little bit surprised he took that on. That's pretty high tariff. But
well, when he was getting down it, I just thought he was trying to cut it in and get that one out of the way. I wonder if he's taken that shot on. Is that a sign that Lakesh has not been putting enough pressure on him, that he's freed up enough to play that shot?
Similar to Chris earlier on, I think it might have been.
Maybe not quite the same way, because it's only 6-2 here, but more the fact that there is just that element of freedom that maybe Lakesh, he feels that it was the right shot for him to make the clearance, but also as high tariff as it was, that he might get back to the table if it doesn't work out.
It sounds a bit bizarre to say, but if Scott was 6-2 up on someone like Deck Brennan, you're never going to take a shot on like that. Yeah. But the difference between someone like Deck Brennan and someone like Lakesh is Deck could turn around and just fire in 4 frames in a row and be back level with you in a click of fingers. But with someone like Lakesh, you're probably more likely to have kind of bit part displays where he's good for a frame or two and then zones out again and then has a couple more good frames. So Scott having that 4-frame advantage, he maybe feels that if he does take that one extra, he won't get pipped all the way back, that Lakesh might get a couple back on him but then lose that momentum again.
Agreed. Interesting you mentioned Declan Brennan, because that could well be the next opponent for Scott Gillespie. Of course, Scott's a long way from winning this match, and Declan Brennan's very much a long way from winning his match, but he's currently 4-3 up on Sean Sharkey.
Yeah, that's another good game for me in that draw. Obviously, Sean's come off the back of a decent week, hasn't he, really, with the pairs cut with Ben. And I think he's another player that I'd love to see more of this year. I think Sean's... I mean, I've seen Sean at his absolute best, and I can tell you that he could mix it with anyone. The Mellons, the Cousins, he dishes out so many frames. But
what a fabulous pot that was from Lakesh. He's very fortunate to keep the cue on the table, though, and not a great outcome.
Yeah, I didn't see that pot coming, but he's getting out. I mean, this is some finish.
Yeah, he's not not too much control, but he is going to get out.
Yeah.
How about those 2 pots back to back?
Yeah, make sure of it, Lakesh. Yeah, great finish.
Trailing 6 frames to 3. This is exactly what Lakesh needed. This is back to back and just reminding Scott. We were talking about whether he was feeling a bit freed up.
Oh, but you say that's a poor one.
Yeah,
this is
he spoke too soon.
Oh, you might have cursed him a little bit there. Mind you, I might have cursed Scott the other way, saying that Lakesh couldn't take out a couple in a row, but he's potted it. Yeah, very good from Lakesh, which could potentially throw in a few mistakes, but well, I mean, he hit that with some venom, didn't he?
Yeah, frustration, because he knows he's had opportunities to really have separated in this match. Now, if he doesn't win one of the next 2 frames, he's going to be distraught going into the second session. If he goes 7-5, if he gets out 7-5 in front, he'll think that's the worst it could have possibly been. But if he can win them both and get 8-4, he'll say job done. Big 7.5 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, that cue ball got some airtime as well, didn't it? That was almost like a Tom Cousins break, that. But the annoying thing for him here is this red in the bottom half of the table is just in an awkward position for him where there's no simple way to get to it, otherwise it would be the most routine clearance in the world. As it is, he's forced to go yellows, which gives him some work to do.
1 shot to play. Do you play it last, go up the table, that is? The reason I don't like that is simply because of the yellow at the top of the table, not guaranteed to get a nice angle on it. It would be nice if he could leave one over bottom right-hand corner.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Which he's going to do. He's going up now. There you go. Very, very nice. Now just get across to the right-hand side of the table. And you're in prime position.
Yeah, and then actually with the one over the pocket, you're in that nicer space. You can just play into an area. There's no specifics needed.
Nice control. Very nice.
It's just the response that Scott needed, but I've really enjoyed watching this game so far. It's been really fluid from both players. And it was nice to see Lakesh respond as well, because when he falls 6-2 behind, as we've seen in a lot of cases, amateur players kind of faltered a little bit, but maybe with Lakesh there's maybe a bit more experience behind him than some of the other amateurs that have come out today. But you know, the last frame now is going to be really key.
Huge. This to get to 7, guarantee being in front at the end of the session. Mistakes with a straight 8 ball. Trailing 7 frames. Big frame. And we will see it to its conclusion. You notice the match clock has gone. We're starting this frame. Therefore we will finish it.
Lost control of the white. It was a bit wild. And it's gone just where you don't want it to. Straight in the middle. And this is golden opportunity for Scott. He's just seeing if this yellow passes the 8 into the bottom left. If it does, then it's routine.
Extension called.
Does need to make his mind up though. Oh, he was close there. I thought he was going to call for the extension at one point, but opted against it. He's actually just on a slightly off angle here, so just wants to control this. Yeah, and that's all stemmed from rushing the first shot.
You see Lakesh as well, he got all of a sudden got very interested.
And he's not got a nice angle here to come back for the one into the right middle either, because that red plays big. So he's going for a more tricky cut here. This is a tough pot. He's navigated it well, but he's still not perfect, because he's now hampered by the same red that he was trying to avoid. Oh, that's very good though. Has he just been a little bit unlucky? I think it's just gone to roll too far for him. At one point it looked like he was actually going to be plumb on it and even have the opportunity to maybe take it into the right middle with a touch aside, but where he's landed there, it's going to force him to take the thin cut along the cushion. So this white ball is going to be on the move. He killed that really well.
What a shot that is. That's
I mean,
fantastic.
how much angle did he have on that?
This is still tight. You can tell by the way he's looking at it, but at least he has the perfect angle on it.
His pockets will slide in, but he just knocks it right in the centre.
A big last 2 frames here for Scott Gillespie. Controlled this session from start to finish, and you would have feared it was going to get away from him at the end and he wasn't going to have the advantage that he feels like he will have deserved. And you can see by his reaction there, it may only be session 1, but he's 8-4 in front. Final session of the defending champions last 64 match. Scott Gillespie is 8-4 in front. Fascinating first session with Lakesh Badhan. That he got himself 6-2 in front and was cruising, took on a shot too many. Lakesh pounced 1-2 back-to-back, making the last 2 frames massive. Scott Gillespie took them both out in style, and that has given him a commanding lead here, but he still needs 5 frames. We've got another 15 minutes on the clock here, and Scott Gillespie needs 5. Lakesh needs 9. Very impressed with the way that Scott played in that first session. He missed a couple, took on a shot too many at 6-2, but the quality of his play was there for all to see, and the confidence and the belief he built up with a brilliant performance, making it through to the final of the British Open, was there for all to see. Played better at the British Open than he did when he won the Masters last year. And the game is in a better shape when Scott Gillespie is playing well. Good plant from Scott. Doesn't have to move the yellow on the left-hand side and get to the potting angle. Sorry, the top of the table and get to the potting angle. Chooses to move it anyway. Get to the potting angle from where he was, so made the decision to move it and couldn't have played it any better. Started in style, just like he did this afternoon. Scott Gillespie takes the opening frame of the session and a 9-4 lead. 8-6 he leads. Christophe Lambert 7-5. Could come back that from Luke Sanji. He was trailing a fair bit in that match. Gets back to 7-5. Ian White 9-7 up over Andy Williams. Just Dayan Clayton Castaldi still locked at 6s, as are Ian Alley and Leo Fernandez. That's the top half of the draw. We'll run through the bottom half shortly. Let's focus on this frame for a little while though and see what form Lakesh is going to show for us in this session. He needs to show plenty if he wants to get back into the match. And that's not the best of first shots. Trying to bend it round and take yellows. Could not have gone worse for him.
Yeah, ball in hand. That ball's in play.
Needs a good angle just to track the top of the table. There's a little bit more room for the red at the top than it looks. Anywhere above the right centre pocket, he should be fine. You won't want to get all the way up there because you want angle to be able to get back out. So just above the right centre would be good, or get all the way to the top of the table. Centre pocket is all he needed. Track back on the same line and 8 ball bottom left.
Extension called.
Well, that was a poor shot from Scott. Can he dig himself out? Can he dig himself out? Of course he can. It's the defending champion. And that one will hurt Lakesh. He would have thought, oh, I might get a sniff. I might get a chance. What a shot that is from Scott Gillespie. Big break. You can tell how well he's cueing, just the way he's driving through with his break. Hitting it brilliantly. And I'm pretty sure he's on a yellow to left centre, which makes yellows fairly routine if he is on that yellow to left centre. It should be 11-4 pretty quickly.
Yellow ball's in play.
Quickly, it's going to be very quickly. That's how good that layout was. Probably the quickest finish of the day. I haven't seen anything quicker than that. Lakesh now needs to win 9 of the next 10 frames to win this match. That is a tall order, and look at what he's just left Scott Gillespie here. Hard enough playing against great players. Playing against great players and you don't get chances, really tough. He's played one shot other than a break in this session and it went wrong for him. That's the margin.
Yellow ball's in play.
Tough decision on yellows. He thought he was going to go reds, but see the reason he's gone yellows. He can connect the one bottom left past the 8, the one near the 8 ball, to right centre to get on the one on the right cushion. So there's a way out here. There is a sort of, it looks awkward, but the connections are pretty strong. Now I think he has to go left centre if he's to go round the route the way I was suggesting. Yeah, if he can get there, so if he can go left centre and pop it back, similar line to he's on now. If he takes the one he's on now and gets there, then he's going to be going for the 2 on the cushion whilst there's one over the left centre pocket, which means he's got to get down the table. So it's easier and better to leave the 8 ball rather than this yellow. Is that a slight deceleration, or is he planning to use the red? If he hits the red, does it look, from our perspective, it looks like he'd snooker himself on the one to right centre, but he might not. Love the pattern he's picked out here, I really do. May have just caught that just off straight enough to make it awkward for him. No, he's okay, he's cueing this normally, so he must be on it nicely. Doesn't have to do anything here, just make the pot. Cue ball's going to be a touch close to the cushion for the 8 ball, but you can tell how confident he's feeling. Another brilliant visit to the table for Scott Gillespie. That was just a beautiful pattern he picked out, which could well be over on this visit to the table. Yeah, tricky opening ball, not just the pot, he does just need to get the cue ball right. If he gets this shot right, though, the yellows will be routine. And of course he gets it right. Like such a
Yellow
level.
ball's in play.
He's not going to hang about as well. What a session here. I mean, he's 4 frames in 13 minutes, just under. He could wrap this up 5 frames in, well, 14 minutes or so. Under 14 minutes. What a session from Scott Gillespie. He's in a rush to make it into the last 32. And the defending champion is into day 2. 2 brilliant performances from Scott Gillespie. Second session was all but flawless. Lakesh Badhan had 1 shot in the second session of the match. That was brilliant from the former world champion.